Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Next Fest video. This time I'm having a look at Hollywood Animal. For those not across it, Steam Next Fest is on at the moment. It's an absolute demo smorgasbord and I'm sort of just going through and picking out some things that jump out at me. So if you do find this interesting, check out the demo build this week yourself. So I'm kind of quietly anticipating the release of this. I'm very pumped because it's made by Weappy Studio. I believe that's how you say it. Who notably did This Is the Police 1 and 2 and their spin-off Rebel Cops. And I'll be the first to admit those games have issues, right? However, I really like them. I think there's some interesting concepts and ideas in there, and it's been, years since they've done anything else. So Hollywood Animal is their follow-up game. I don't believe it's related to This Is the Police. Maybe there'll be an Easter egg or something like that, but it's very much set in the late 20s. Hollywood, I suppose the golden age of cinema talkies coming in and exploding, and you basically pick up a bankrupt movie studio and you want to, try and revitalize it and lead it to success. I've spent about an hour with the demo because I was curious where it was going. These sort of games come along every couple of years, these movie studio management games, and there are a certain demographic, and I sit in it, that kind of want them to be good. I really like the idea of cutting together your own little script movie stories and the running of the studio. At least I think I'm not alone in feeling like it's a bit of an untapped gold mine. However, I'm not really 100% sure if any of them have really ever gotten it right. So I have my apprehensions going into this. This seems to have some of the hallmark problems in that the nature of running, I suppose, a movie studio is it's absolutely obscenely difficult to keep track of what your money's doing, how much is anything really worth. Like, relative to your paycheck, how much a carton of eggs is going to cost. You can get an idea of if it's overpriced or not. When you're running the studio and you've got all these different steps, unless you're an absolute huge cinephile that maybe works in the industry, when they say, it's going to be $40,000 in post to cut this bloody audio together, I'm like, I don't know, whatever, sure. So it's very obtuse and difficult to keep track of. I feel a little bit bait and switched as well, because out of the gate, I was really sold on this, because essentially there is an already cut together movie that is just waiting to be released. It's essentially a tutorial mechanic to walk you through it. So you pick out the movie and the game walks you through this narrative of it. And in my case, it was sort of like a gumshoe detective serial killer chasing thing. And they had little blurbs going scene by scene and what the actors did. And I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was thinking, this is unbelievably detailed. Like, it covered all the scenes. It was a serial killer that was bringing flowers to his victims and this whole thing, and there was a prison break, and I was like, do they have some sort of generative algorithm that's going to do this for every single script that goes through? And the short answer, not to leave you hanging, is no. It is a once-off tutorial mechanic, and it took me another hour of playing through all the mechanics and figuring out what's going on to get to my own script that I was making, and it's much more dry. Example, I made what was it? a knight in shining armor doing a detective story on a tropical island. And I was like, I can't wait to see what story they generate out of this, but they don't, right? It's just sort of tags slapped together, and the movie did generally quite poorly and was an absolute box office bomb because those tags aren't really compatible. Things, for example, like, Midwestern American town would go better with detective, investigative thriller, that sort of thing. So I'm not down on that part of it, but I do feel absolutely baited. I'm all for putting your best foot forward and showing off your game as best you can. But this gets into vertical slice territory, the infamous, Watch Dogs showing where it looked so beautiful and then the release was way different because they essentially showed off something that wasn't representative of the game. And that's what they're kind of done here. So I got a little bit dirty on that. So it seems like it might be okay. I look forward to looking at it when it goes into full release, but that was sort of my take. At the moment, the only standout thing was a sort of handcrafted, curated, tutorial-only one-shot which is a bit frustrating. I'll chuck a little bit of spice on the end as well. Something about Weappy is in their scripting and their writing for like This Is the Police, which is an old game now, right? It's probably 10 years or something, I'd have to check. But they've got a lot of off-color comments. Now, I don't care, right? I'm about as based as a gamer as it comes, but examples were things like, you know, you could choose how your officers would interact with criminals in a scene, and you'd always have a weird option, be like, put down the gun, Ahmed, or like you're in a sex shop and you can throw a blow-up doll at the enemy, and it never really landed because it felt less based and more edgy. In that your cops could get absolutely wiped out. So say you did go, well, fuck it, to deal with this escalated situation, I'm gonna throw the blow-up sex doll at the enemy, and then the enemy just goes bang and kills like both your officers and they're dead, and it kind of really fucks your game. And it's sort of like, I don't know what you're doing, game. Like, you're putting edgy humor in that sort of breaks the entire theme of it. Anyway, I'm not trying to make this about This Is the Police, but the reason I mention that is it seems to have some of the same almost just edgy stuff, and I don't know if it's going to be disruptive like it kind of was in This Is the Police. Examples being a bunch of you're managing a lot of bloody white collar workers, which is going to have limited appeal anyway. But a lot of your dudes will have like, drug addiction problems and that sort of stuff, especially the actors. Half this game is dealing with these little scenarios where, you know, the actors are having a tantrum on set, and there was some chick that lost her cat, but she's a morphine addict, and it was grayed out, but apparently if I had morphine in my studio's inventory, I could have given that to her. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty heavy duty. But then on the other side of it, you've got things like, there was someone trying to renegotiate his salary with me, and I had blackmail left over from the previous studio of, don't even want to say it, but it involves a 15-year-old. And I'm like, okay, game. I feel like they may be trying to swing and go from more of an adult vibe or something, but it doesn't really land. I'm not trying to be prudish or anything like that, but it's Weappy being Weappy. If anything, they're consistent. So some tonally questionable stuff that reads more as edgy than actually sort of value add. So I don't know what to make of this game. I have to separate the fact that I want it to be good. I like the studio, and I've always wanted this genre to work, but everything here just seems okay. And the only standout thing was kind of a trick. So yeah, check it out yourself, put it on a wish list, that sort of thing. Team, much just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.